Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. It's playoff time for the 2025 A Elite Racing League JUICYSPYDER Studios Truck Series. It's round 11 of the 2025 A season. It's the first race of the playoffs. 14 drivers, 14 contestants have punched their ticket into the postseason. Only 4 can put themselves into the hat as champion, and only 1 can claim the crown at season's end. The first part of that elimination process comes tonight at the virtual Michigan International Speedway in virtual Brooklyn, Michigan. The 2-mile oval super speedway track will play host to the first race of the round of 14, where the slowest 10 will be eliminated after 3 races. That's, of course, tonight's race at Michigan. Then we have Bristol, Homestead, Miami Speedway, and Iowa to finish off this first round before the championship race at Legacy, Texas. And already, as you see the starting grid come onto your screen now, you're seeing the favourites start to work their way towards the front, and it's an all Lake Norman front row with Caleb Bakuma in the 59 and Frank Foti in the 41. First and second set of rules for shift will have his friend Joe Francis alongside him. Row number 2 with past Cup Series champion in the playoff hat Gerald Campbell in the 00 and P5 Leighton Norgard. Past Final 5 appearance for him. He's in 6th. For Dylan Javier, the second highest non-playoff driver will have Dustin Dewar on his outside, Jeff Green and Chris Wright. 2 Lake Norman drivers, 2 playoff drivers. They'll round out the top 10 with Andrew Hardcastle and Michael Hossack in P11 and P12. Further behind them, all playoff row 7, Josh Adams and JP Phillips, Gavin Higgins as well in the playoffs. Final 4 from the development series in 2025A. He starts 15th. Jesse Rasimas in 16th. Tom Bourne and Tommy Ryan in 17th and 18th. Cody McCorkle in 19th and Carl Hanshaw in 20th. Mitchell Javier in the 58 will start 21st with 2024 B Cup Series champion Justin Wadsworth in 22nd. Michael Goodman and Sam Boutwell 23rd and 24th. Behind them, Ryan Campbell, Jeff Ryan, row 13, Harrison Talon, Rob Mooney in row 14. Tate Lytle obviously not appearing in tonight's race. Neither is Mathieu Weeks. He's alongside me in the commentary box. We'll introduce him shortly. That means Chad Frankenfield as well will be absent from tonight's race, as he is also a past Truck Series champion. That promotes Jay Connor, Josh Osborne, and Dave Huckleberry up a few spots. So around 30 trucks will take the green flag tonight here at Michigan. Mathieu Weeks alongside me in the commentary box, also acting as race control. It's the first round of the playoffs. It's always nervy, always intense, and it's 17 laps over these drivers here at Michigan. Who have you got punching their ticket into the championship for right away here?
Oh, it's hard, but I've been paying attention to Leighton, and Leighton's been really figuring out the long run speed, and I think he's going to be a little sneaky right here and steal one tonight and lock himself into that championship.
There's a second final round appearance for a Leighton Norgard. Oh, wait, Tim, we'll have to wait and see in 70 laps time as we approach the Geico restart zone to kick off the playoffs in 2025A for the JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. We are green, we are go in the Irish Hills of Michigan. And it looks like out of the 2 teammates on the front row, it's Tyler Foti's dad, Frank Foti, that's got just a hair over pole sitter Caleb Bakuma. But Bakuma doing the shorter distance around the racetrack, you'd have to imagine, will reassume that lead with very little resistance from the 41, his teammate, and he will get clear of his teammate going down the back straight. And now a bump from his teammate. Bakuma throws the block already on Shift Esports as Seth rolls there. Both of those drivers vying for a spot in the championship 4, and Caleb Bakuma very loose on the bottom of turns 3 and 4 there. Almost calamity inside the first 2 miles here for the driver of the 59. He does hang on to it. Seth Rolls though will take the lead. Bakuma hanging on to second, but just by a hair as we're offset 4 wide going into turn 1. It's only the second lap, Matthew.
It's too early to be doing this in a playoff race. I mean, luckily Caleb come out of there clean with just barely touched the wall and saved what could have been a massive wreck right there.
I think it caused some stack ups behind him. You mentioned your race picker, Leighton Norgard, in that bright pink and blue truck. You can usually spot him in a crowd very, very easily, but he's filtered his way all the way back to 22nd. He finds himself 3rd in the point standings with a +3 bubble on the championship bubble there. But that will not be doing his chances any good. He has to get back up towards the front and fast in what is a very short race here. Already 2 laps are done. If these guys well behaved, we could be done in less than an hour here. So time is of the essence for these drivers. We're still fighting for the lead. That's Dylan Javier, teammate of course, on Lake Norman Motorsports. So Frank Foti and Caleb Pacuma. Frank Foti throwing the block on Josh Adams, trying not to let the 0-1 Juicy Spider truck by, as they're still side by side for the race lead, Matthew. But of course, we're about 3 laps in, but you're still seeing all these trucks really bunched up together as Cody McCorkle just tags the wall there. We know how big this track is, and of course the trucks are very low-powered machines. How important is the draft, or the slipstream as it would be known, over my side of the pond? How important will that be for these drivers in trying to hang with the lead pack while obviously trying to conserve tyre as well over a fairly long distance?
Yeah, it's important because you want to have this pull down the long straightaways, especially in these trucks that don't have a lot of power to begin with. And the bad thing is this track's very deceiving because how big it is and wide it is. You think you can go full throttle and you can be in the throttle a lot, and that just burns your tires up. So the harder you drive this car, the more you're on your on the throttle in the draft and driving as hard as you can. You're just going to kill that right front. And a lot of these guys that are dropping back, they're lifting and they're actually getting way out of the gas and trying to take care of that right front. They're going to come into play about 20 laps into this run.
Definitely, it's one of these tracks you'll see split strategies. Some guys opting to go hard right at the beginning and anticipate potentially an early yellow and benefit from the reset that would grant. Others trying to play the long con here, the likes of Leighton Norgard, who have been involuntarily shuffled back now is the top 25. Those guys, essentially their hand is now forced to try and play the waiting game, but soon enough, you're already starting to see it here, but I think soon enough as you get towards the end of the race here, you'll start to see drivers snake a lot, especially down this long straight. Back half of the track, the front obviously still curved, so the inside still the faster way to go around the track. But particularly as we get towards the end of the race, people trying to break the slipstream and trying to pull away, you will see them weave up and down the track like it's the Indy 500, trying to break that slipstream. And sometimes it can look a bit silly, but these drivers, of course, doing anything to gain any advantage they can. But we're looking further back here towards another gangle of cars. That's led by real-life NASCAR champion Jeff Green. Of course, he won the 2000 NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's got Tom Borton championship leader up his inside. The 61 now nearly a truck length clear of the number 38 for Lake Norman here. The 38 will receive a push from the outside there. That's JP Phillips in the 34 as well, also a contender in this round of 14. In fact, the playoff grid, with how thin the field is, make up nearly half of all the drivers on the track, so everyone has a stake in this race, and that will surely create just a far more entertaining prospect. But already 8 laps ticked off already. We're more 10% of the way through this race, Matthew. We're starting to see gaps beginning to develop. If you're a driver on this racetrack, what is your strategy from this point on? Are we looking to try and gain track position, or are we looking to save tyre, or does that depend on where you find yourself on the racetrack at this moment?
Right now, I'm still in the process of saving my tires. I mean, you've raced with me enough to know that I'm going to be taking it easy for a good 15, 20 laps, just taking it easy. I'd like to feel well, this is a truck. I don't race the truck. I'm going to say car since I race the car. I like to feel the car out for the first part of the run and see what I really got. And that's how I figure out my race through that literally that first half of the first run. That's how I figure out what I'm going to do through the entire race. And then that's what a lot of these guys are going to do. And then a lot of these playoff guys are going to try to get up here towards the front and get those playoff points on lap 30, because those are going to come into play, especially where you touched on, half the field is playoff guys. So you want to get as many points as possible on your competitors as you can tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we mentioned the 70 laps not being a particularly long race distance already at Michigan, but you cut that in half. That's the first stage. That's where points are first dished out. For those of you new to the league, stage points are dished out at the end of each stage from first down to 10th, with the winner receiving 10 points, 10th place receiving 1 point, and all the fun math in between that I'm sure you can figure out. But you're seeing the field now starting to single file out. We've got a battle here that we're focused on between Leighton Norgard on your inside, driver's right, and Carl Hanshaw in the 46 for KHR on the outside of the Alabama Motorsports driver. Not particularly willing to give up that fight. One of the non-playoff drivers on the grid, and he'll get the better exit off the outside, and he will clear the number 12. Jay Connor there in tow, and that lot now single file out. And I believe that was one of the last side-by-side battles on the racetrack. You see a gaggle further up ahead here. But Dylan Javier, I'm quite impressed actually by Dylan, as he's really managed to break the slipstream, as it were, from Seth Rawls and company behind him. Of course, you're seeing that deficit start to... I think it was a truck spearing off onto the right-hand side there, but we remain under green flag conditions. But obviously, the gap does come down naturally and straight away with the slipstream. But you're seeing now through the corner, Dylan Javier has some decent pace. He's gaining about a tenth each corner here. And I think he might have the pace on the field at the moment, but I think that could be something of a double-edged sword, Matthew. Could be looking at potentially burning his tyres a little too quickly here. We'll have to see where he is in about sort of 10-15 laps time, no?
Yeah, really, and it looks like Adams is coming on strong as well. He's had to pass quite a few trucks to get up to where he's at, and I don't like the line that Javier's running, that very bottom in 1 and 2. I feel like that burns your tire up a little bit more than what you want. I've always been the guy that really likes that second lane right on the steam. I feel like that's the lane to take care of your stuff. If you run that yellow line, it just gives me like the idea that you're just driving too hard right now.
Definitely, and Josh Adams definitely looks to be somewhat eating into that advantage, as you see Tom Bourne and Joe Francis now going at it there. That's position number 4, Tom Bourne. One of the big movers tonight. He's from 17th up to 4th. The championship leader looking to put a stamp on it and immediately punch a ticket into the final 4. Joe Francis giving the 61 a little push going into turn 3. But Javier now only 0.3 of a second ahead of Josh Adams. And you mentioned that second groove that you like to run, Matthew. I think Josh Adams has the same idea here, the 0-1, just about half a truck width higher. You see him as we ride on board, just following in the slipstream, making sure to take advantage of the hole in the air that Dylan Javier is punching. Again, another truck width higher also means he's not in the dirty air, and he gets a slightly straighter exit, and you're going to watch the gap come down and down and down as we travel down the back straight here. And with the rate that Josh Adams has A, carved through the field all the way back from P13, and B, has managed to really eat into this gap at a rate of knots, you'd have to think he's something of a favourite to potentially start to pull away if he can get past Tavira and into some clean air, Matthew.
Oh yeah, definitely. He looks like he's one of the few that's been able to really pass the trucks, keep the tires on so far through 15 laps. I've noticed some guys are the rear of the truck is starting to wiggle out on the exit of these corners, so they're burning the rear a little bit more. And he's not wiggling as much. He looks nice and smooth running that second lane, and now he has a strong pull, and I think he's going to get him here in the next lap.
As you see, the gap comes now to below 1/10 of a second. He is all over the back of that number 57. So he backs up the engine just a little bit. That's where the gap starts to increase. He gets the far better exit off the corner. Here comes Tom Bourne as well, another big mover in tonight's race. This is the front three now converging on one another. Bourne might be going for the move before Adams can go on the move against Javier. We'll have to see who blinks first here in this leading trio now, as Tom Bourne has come out of absolutely nowhere. As we have a look at the lap times, a 41 flat last time for Josh Adams, a 40.7 for Tom Bourne, who we ride on board with now out of turn 2. So this is very much a convergence of some of the fastest cars on the racetrack, all coming to a head halfway through stage 1 here. And honestly, with the pace that Bourne has shown in the last couple of laps, absolutely ripping the fence there, way up top. He's getting the big runs, the big exits coming off the corner here. I think if he can hang with the 57 and the 81, that he's potentially as well a contender to win this stage and take all 10 stage points.
Possibly. I get a little worried running that outside in 3 and 4 like that. I feel like if you burn too much tires, but as he runs that second lane, a lot better than Adams did right there. He got a really good run in the middle of the corner, and now you're starting to notice the difference in the tires of the guys who pushed really hard early on and the guys who kind of took care of their stuff.
Definitely looks to be that way. Javier definitely using a bit more time to try and gain track position, and I think definitely not the
Ooh,
worst idea. It's a
ooh,
little bit of a
born
loose
wiggling.
condition. Yeah, a bit of a loose condition there. You mentioned the rears getting burnt off the high side there, 3 and 4. But yeah, Javier definitely using a bit more time to get track position. Not a terrible idea, of course. He has gone from 7th all the way up, still in P1 as we run lap 18 of 70 with 30 laps ending the stage here. So still looks on for a decent points haul here at the end of stage 1, Dylan Javier. But Adams and Bourne definitely the big movers in 2nd and 3rd, both outside the top 10 on the starting grid, now find themselves in podium positions here, potentially looking to punch their ticket into the final 4, or certainly get a good shot at it. As that Seth rolls now, going towards the inside. He's through the grass. He's managed to save it in the GoldenBrew coffee car here in the GoldenBrew 140. As he's still traveling through the grass, we will consult the Mark Geribalis photography replay. And that looks to be very much self-inflicted. Yeah, mentioned the loose condition that Tom Bourne was fighting and that some of these other guys were fighting. Seth Rawls was also fighting that, traveling through the high side in 3 and 4. And I think he just got a little too much for the shift 25 there.
Yeah, definitely. I thought this was going to be a right front kind of weird night, but it looks like it's going to be a right rear kind of night, and those are the best kind of setups to race. And man, I wish I was out there driving this truck. These boys sliding around. This is always my favorite thing to do when the setups are like this.
But I despise sometimes the plow box setups that we do see sometimes on iRacing. So a loose setup is always a pleasant thing to see when you learn to a race lobby. But we've now got to fight for the lead for the first time in quite a bit here, as Josh Adams now finally blinks, makes the move with 11 to go on Dylan Javier. Javier now will clear, protects the inside. Adams will fall back in line. Tom Bourne now gets out of the turbulent air of the 81. Here comes Joe Francis entering the fray as well. He's on the inside of the 61. The 81 gets loose there. That's Josh Adams breaking loose in front of Tom Bourne. That's going to cause a shake up. Joe Francis might get a 2-for-1 deal here as he's now on the inside of Tom Bourne. Bourne now pushing Adams. They'll use the slipstream to power back past the 55 into turn number 1. Joe will filter back behind Tom Bourne and Josh Adams. Josh Adams now looking to run the high side. Tom Bourne down low. Bourne potentially trying to take 2nd place here from Adams, and this is exactly what Dylan Javier needs to try and claim his first stage victory of the season thus far as we ride overhead of the 61 here into turn 3. Josh Adams way upstairs manages to hold, and you would imagine will start to clear the 61 off of turn 4. The 61 will pull back in to the slipstream. Again, you see them now single file as the battle begins to abate between those 4, but still further fighting further back as Chris Wright is on the inside of Gerald Campbell there, as well as Cody McCorker, who's up on the positive side of the Championship 4 bubble and is doing a good job at trying to maintain that as he rides in position number 5. Chris Wright, though, pressuring him all the way for it, with Gerald Campbell, JP Phillips and Jeff Green all waiting for the slightest mishap between any of these drivers, waiting in the wings here. But right now, down the inside of McCorkle, he's not going to get clear. McCorkle will get the better exit coming down the hill, but Chris Wright will get just a hair on Cody McCorkle. Will have the inside coming down the curved front straight. We'll see if he can get the move done going into turn number 1 here. Whether the 2 can fight back on the outside, but it looks like the 8's going to get clear. Chris Wright into the top 5 and into the top spot now. Josh Adams clear of the 57, and just how important is that, Matthew, for Josh now to be clear of Dylan Javier?
Oh, it's so much better. Now you got the clean air. You're not heating up the tires as much as the guy behind you that you're giving the dirty air to, and now you can just run a good pace. And I think going back to that 2nd lane and just being nice and smooth and not burning up that rear is really going to come into play right here. And now you're a playoff guy and you're in a position to get a playoff point. So if you don't, even though it's not going to matter, but this 10 stage points though will matter if you don't win this race.
Absolutely, and with how close everyone is in the terms of the playoff standings, we've got a little bit of a, there's Tom Bourne and Conor McCorkle. Both of those guys are quite a bit ahead, but then they've got Leighton Norgard and Justin Wadsworth that are 3 points above the bubble. But everyone behind them, all 10 drivers that are negative on the bubble, and no, even the 14th place guys, they're only like 10, 11 points off. So one stage win could flip everything on its head. That could be the difference, especially early on when everyone's bunched up together in terms of points. So I think a track like Michigan definitely a good place to come to for a first round, as everyone's packed up, but still not exactly a super speedway type of track. So I think
Yeah.
be nice to see it here more often, Matthew.
And then you got to think too, unlike the other two series, the Xfinity and the Cup series, this series only has the one round and then the championship race. So you got to get all you can in these 4 races to be able to make that championship 4 race if you don't win one of these races. So
Yeah, there's no just seeing it off to the round of 9 or whatever. There is, it's now or you're gone, and I think that adds another element of excitement to it. As I think, if we were looking at maybe an extra 2 races on the schedule, oh, it's fine, we'll have a round of 9 now. I don't think
yep.
these guys will be racing nearly as hard, so I think this is part of the charm of the Truck Series, and I think this is going to be everything for Josh Adams to try and get himself 10 crucial points here. But there's the man trying to stop him from getting those 10 stage points. That's Tom Bourne now to the inside of Dylan Havir. He hangs on the left rear quarter panel. We saw a few laps ago Dylan Havir get super loose coming down the track. But still, Josh Adams trying to break the slipstream. Dylan Havir following him all the way. 4 to go though in stage 1. There will not be a caution to end the stage. We will keep racing. And speaking of that, these drivers, as Havir and Adams continue to run side by side, these drivers have done an exceptionally good job of keeping it clean up to this point. No cautions, and we're nearly, or actually we're just over a third of the way in as Adams throws the block there.
Yeah, he's going to defend this really hard for these 10 points. He knows how important they could be. And a little hit the apron a little bit. Oh, that's going to hurt your exit big time.
Yeah, I think we both saw that and kind of winced a bit as Dylan Havir just got his left front below the apron, and we thought he was going to go cascading into the wall. Thankfully, though, for the 57, he stays in the fight. He's done exceptionally well to keep the pace. Definitely better than I would have thought in terms of how much he was using early on. He's done exceptionally well to keep with Adams and Bourne in the latter parts of this first stage. As
Oh!
still contact with Joe Francis. Oh dear, oh damn it, Joe will be too happy with that. That's going to allow Chris Wright past the 55. Of course, more playoff implications as the 8 and the 55 both in the playoff fight. I hope that's not a late Norman conspiracy, as of course that's directly helped Chris Wright there in the number 8 machine. But alas, 2 to go in stage number 1. It's still Josh Adams that leads the way here at Michigan. Tom Bourne, though, is going to try and get clear through turns 1 and 2 of the 57 of Dylan Havir. He just comes up there. Dylan Havir, though, is clear, but now potentially as Chris Wright on his inside. Wright does pull back in. Will Dylan Havir look to move to the inside? Yes, he will. He pulls out the slipstream with the number 61. That's exactly what Josh Adams wants to see as we come to the stage. White flag. Tom Bourne on the outside with Dylan Havir on the inside. I think Havir's tyre is starting to fade here as Adams all the way down to the bottom of the track. No one able to follow him as they all fight in and amongst themselves. Tom Bourne clear for second. Chris right now down to the inside of Dylan Havir for third. Joe Francis once again enters this fight for P2. Josh Adams 0.3 of a second clear of the entire field as we exit turn 2 for the final time in stage 1. Still half a second clear. Tom Bourne, Chris Wright still going at it. Chris Wright potentially getting on for a surprise P2 here. We ride on board with the number 8 machine. He's going to drive it deep into turn 3, trying to take all he can get here. You see the interval on the top left of your screen, 600s, 700s, 800s. Chris Wright is clear. He will take P2 just at the death, but it's shot Josh Adams that will win stage 1 here at Michigan and will take a crucial 10 stage points for his playoff championship 4 bid. But Mathieu Weeks, we keep racing, and the fight between Chris Wright and Tom Bourne, as well as everyone behind him, is not dying down.
I think Chris is going to be. Oh, never mind. There's the caution as soon as I was about to say it, because Chris, unlike what he usually does, he took care of his tires. I think he was the best truck on the track right there.
Definitely look to be that way as we have essentially a quasi-stage yellow here as a caution flies on lap 31 of 70, and it's further towards the back of the pack, and that's do good violence there. The two team co-founders, Dusty Dewar and Michael Goodman. Michael Goodman is going to get some airtime. He almost blows over on the front straight there in front of Dave Huckleberry. and everyone behind them, but that's bizarre. Some inter-team violence between the 32 and the 44. We saw them get into it a little bit with the 44 getting into the back of the 32, and 32 comes back down. That wasn't intentional, was it? Surely not from Dusty.
No,
I
I don't
wouldn't think
think
he would
so.
intent wreck his co-founding teammate, but the way he swiped down, I think that was just a reaction from the
Wall,
wall
yeah.
hit, but a
And he was
bizarre
fighting
incident.
it too because coming out of
Mm,
4, he got really loose and was fighting that, and then good he had a run, and it's just unlucky timing right there.
definitely. Well, the golden rule of racing, of course, is not take your teammate. I think they've both broken it there as they've both uh, hit each other coming off of turn 4. Goodman into the Macadua. Dua into the wall. Reactionary impact back into the 44. I thought for a split second when we were watching that replay that Michael Goodman was going to blow over and we were going to see a flip, but thankfully he stays on all 4 tyres. I don't think either truck looks particularly damaged. As you see them both at the tail end of the field, they're still on the lead lap, still in contention, which is good. But now this is going to be an opportunity for all of these drivers to take a set. I'm going to assume 4 tyres and fuel as we're at the exact halfway point. No benefit from taking 2. The fuel window is open, so this is perfect time for a lot of these drivers to make sure that they're safe on petrol. And the crucial thing now is the race off pit road, and that's going to be won by, as we see those green cones tonight in the end of pit road, Josh Adams is going to win the race off pit road. Tom Bourne beats Chris Wright out for second. Dylan Javier stays in P4. Joe Francis remains in P5. So the running order in the top 5 stays largely the same, with a 1 swap between the 61 and the 8. But other than that, normal order is very much restored here. But of course, that caution does give us a couple of talking points. Of course, we mentioned the tyre wear, Matthew, that we were seeing in that first stage there, those first 30 laps. We see in the top right of your screen there, 106 degrees Fahrenheit. That's around 36, 37 degrees Celsius. Quite a hot racing surface. That will definitely be contributing, I would think, to that right rear tyre wear that we perhaps are seeing, but definitely unexpectedly. And I think that's definitely creating some adverse conditions for these drivers. And on that, I think now that we do have this first caution, are we going to start to see that sort of domino effect of cautions now starting to build on each other and create more yellows immediately thereafter, with everyone packed up in what seems to be a fairly difficult track to drive here tonight?
I would hope not, because we want to see the green flag run and watch these guys
Mm.
race. But I know some of these guys, they know that this is the only opportunity they're going to be able to pass is on these restarts and early in the run, because they have a tendency to burn their stuff up. So I could see more cautions coming out. If not, I could see a longer, the long run, and people who really going to take care of that tire are going to come into play here. And some guys probably learned that they went too hard that first run, and then learned to save it this run. And there's going to be a lot of different things here, and I think it's going to be interesting to see who decides to go hard and early, thinking there's going to be cautions, and who saves their stuff thinking it's going to go green to the end.
Yeah, definitely. We're essentially going to see a replay here, I suppose, of stage number 1. It's roughly the same distance. Of course, it'll be 36 laps to go when we come back to the green flag. It's 1 to green here at Michigan. Of course, it's going to be the same sort of thing of who prioritizes going hard in the early laps, trying to get track position, and potentially hoping for a yellow later on, who's going to conserve their stuff and look to be in the fight towards the end of the running and hope that it goes green all the way. It's going to be interesting to see who employs those different strategies as we see different drivers in different parts of the field. Of course, Josh Adams and Tom Bourne, 2 drivers that definitely employed that latter strategy, but they were deeper in the field. Now they ride first and second. Does that change their strategy somewhat? We'll have to wait and see. But it's an all playoff front 3 here with Josh Adams, Tom Bourne, and Chris Wright. 1, 2, and 3. We are back green here at Michigan, and it's a good start for Josh Adams here. Chris Wright as well in tow. Tom Bourne not with the greatest restart. He's already down to 3rd. Joe Francis looking to follow the 8 and the 81 through here into turn 1. They're going to be flat out all the way through turn 1 and 2 here. They're going to hug the inside there. Josh Adams running that second groove, trying to air block the number 8 behind him. as we filter past Tommy Ryan there, moving to the inside. He's up to a race high P5. Does Josh Adams throw a block here on Chris Wright? Does Chris Wright look to make a move? He stays behind the 81 for the time being. We're side by side further back though. Tommy Ryan looking for a move on Tom Bourne here. Those two started side by side in 17th and 18th. They're now side by side for P4 and P5. Further behind them, we're seeing some drivers surge back up. The KOL Motorsports guys almost getting into each other. That's Jay Connor in the green number 9 and Gavin Higgins in the red number 20. Still offset 3 wide. You see Cody McCorkle, Jeff Green and Gerald Campbell there. They're 3 wide, nearly 4 wide as Cody McCorkle runs the wall there. That's Tom Bond, pardon me, Cody McCorkle there on the bottom, but still Joe Francis now up to P2. He's all over the back of Josh Adams to see if he looks to make a move on the 81 for the time being, but they remain single file throughout the first 2 positions. But we're seeing 2, 3, potentially even 4 wide here in the early going here, Matthew. It's definitely shades of the first stage, but we're seeing already some guys start to really make some quick progress through the field here.
Yeah, I'm starting to see guys really driving hard, trying to get track position. I'm noticing Chris, you know, he's taking it easy, running that second lane that I was talking about. Seeing Jeff Green, I just noticed he was running pretty good late in that run. He's starting to get some spots here, going a little hard. These guys are going at it early in this. I'd be kind of worried about getting caught in a wreck, to be honest with you. Oh, 4 wide. Oh, that was close.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
Oh,
save.
Cody McCorkle had a hand. Oh my goodness, he still almost hit late in there, didn't he? He was catching it all the way through the corner. Mathieu Weeks is at his sweating bullets there. These guys are on the verge of absolutely flying apart here. There's a Leighton Norgard, Cody McCorkle almost coming to blows there in the middle of turns 3 and 4. As both of those drivers trying to take everything they can get out of that Goodyear rubber and just a little bit more here. Higgins and Norgard still side by side for position number 8. They're single file up all the way back from 1st to 7th. The 7th place truck being Jeff Green in the 38 there, just ahead of this gangle that we see fighting for P8. That's Leighton Norgard on the high side, and Gavin Higgins down below behind them, Cody McCorkle and Dylan Javier. We saw P3 in stage at number 1 for Dylan Javier, a less than optimal restart in pit road for the 57. He'll be looking to claw his way back up and fast, but I think they've started to calm down now. I don't see any 3 wides at this moment in time. We are seeing more side-by-side battles. Tom Bourne, Chris Wright, they were battling for 2nd a little while ago. They're now battling for 5th and 6th, so definitely not the progress that they want to be seeing out of either of those 2. But I think now that we've ticked off 4 or 5 laps here, green flag, I think once we start to see single file, I think we could potentially see a repeat of stage number 1, Matthew, and potentially green to the end here. Let's not jinx it.
Oh, as Higgins gets a little loose on the exit of 4, you said that, yeah.
It right away.
Hopefully it does, because I'm noticing some guys who are saving their stuff, and my favorite type of racing is the long runs. I like seeing the comers and goers, so I'm hoping we get that. Oh, as they.
God.
Oh.
Stop hitting each other.
Oh, it is close out there. These boys are going at it right here in the midfield.
I feel like there could have been about 10 wrecks just in that single frame there between JP Phillips and company alongside him. Couldn't even tell who else was in there. It was such a massive gaggle as they would begun to sort of fly apart. I think that was Michael Goodman that got shot off to the right hand side there. As you see now, Tom Bourne, I believe that is, trying to make his way back through as he dropped all the way down to 10th there. He's now behind Gavin Higgins and Leighton Norgard. Still, Higgins and Norgard have been side by side this entire time pretty much. Now we look to see Tommy Ryan potentially looking for a move on Joe Francis. Not this time. The 66 did have a look as he now runs as the highest non-playoff driver there, denoted by the blue number on the side of the scoring tower and the regular banner atop the windshield of the 66. But still, I think that's 4 wide. That is 4 wide there. JP Phillips, Dylan Javier, Tom Bourne and a Leighton Norgard. That's a bit squeaky bum time there from that lot, as a Leighton Norgard's going to run right up by the wall. Tom Bourne almost in between Gavin Higgins and Dylan Javier. That was never a gap. That almost ended terribly. But Tommy Ryan, while we're busy looking at 4 wide over at the back half of the top 10, has taken the lead here. Last we saw, he was 3rd, but he's managed to power past Joe Francis and Josh Adams. Tommy Ryan now leads, potentially looking for a 2nd win on the season, Matthew. He's very much come out of not necessarily out of nowhere, but certainly out of some obscurity. We've not spoken much of the 66 so far tonight, as they're 4 wide again. Oh, 0, the offset 4 now 3 wide, as Dylan Javier doesn't have the momentum to keep with, but Tommy Ryan now to the lead. Definitely surprising considering the first stage he wasn't really up in the fight at all.
Yeah, he wasn't. I think he was just taking care of his stuff. I've noticed he does that a lot when I've raced him in Xfinity. He likes to take care of his stuff and hoping for long runs. I've noticed that with him, and yeah, he hasn't been up front leading a lot in the Truck Series, but like you said, I've noticed of late he's really picked up his speed and has been contending for these wins lately. As there's a wreck,
Norgard's gone around there on the front straight, almost a blow over there for the number 12, but thankfully it looks to be no damage for the Mutex GG machine. But that is a playoff point advantage very much down the drain. He was +3, third place in points before that incident, but now as we consult the Robotics Photography replay, I think that's all gone away for a Leighton Norgard, and he's just tagged the wall and come down on Cody McCorkle, trying to take all he's got, and I think just bit off a bit more than he could chew there. Cody McCorkle and JP Phillips very much innocent bystanders in that, as a Leighton Norgard goes spinning down to the grass. You see as he tries to catch it, he's chasing up the hill somewhat, just tagged the wall ever so slightly, needs that bit of room to chase it down the hill, but that room simply wasn't at his disposal, and he meets the front bumper of Cody McCorkle, and that exacerbates the incident. So unfortunate for the number 12 there, as he now finds himself down to P22. Second caution of the night. Tommy Ryan will lead the field into pit road with no takers, I believe, for staying out. We'll see if anyone shoots to the top of the timing board, as I think that's Carl Hanshaw staying out potentially. Yes, that is. He will reassume the race lead, will assume the race lead, not led any laps thus far, the 46, but that is the only driver that elected to stay out. So the winner off pit road here will restart P2 presumably on the outside here, but as this second caution procession runs here, we'll see quickly who wins the race off pit road. That's going to go to Gerald Campbell, past Cup Series champion. He will find himself restarting P2 alongside Carl Hanshaw, but while we wait for these guys to reorganize themselves off of pit road, we're going to take a quick ad break, thank some of our partners and sponsors, and we'll be right back with action from round 11 of the Juicy Spider Truck Series. Don't go anywhere.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers, and we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
To win the blue egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with blue egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Fueling big to win big. Blue egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Ooh, ooh, big. To win big, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Win big.
As you just heard from one of our premier sponsors, Blue Egg Marketing, just want to give a shout out to our current race sponsor, GoldenBrew Coffee Company. Join us as they explore and discover the ultimate Golden Brew experience tailored just for you. Now we're back to green, and you guys get all the action.
So we are back for live coverage on the Elite Racing Network of the GoldenBrew 140, as you just heard from our premier partners there at Blue Egg Marketing, Worldwide Technology Raceway, as well as, of course, GoldenBrew Coffee Company. Josh Adams currently leads the way with Joe Francis in second place as he offset forward from third down to sixth, from Campbell down to Gavin Higgins. As there's further cars behind them, trucks spinning out the picture. It's a Leighton Norgard again, caught up in the aftermath, and I think there's further trucks caught up in it as well, as a night goes bad to worse for the Alba Motorsports driver, and it's one caution immediately after the other. It's what we feared might happen after caution number one. We'll see a Leighton Norgard here on the overhead. It's just carnage up ahead, tries to avoid it, square into the back of Michael Goodman, collected by his teammate Andrew Hardcastle as well in the Expedition 33 truck, who's going to go spinning down. Doing donuts in victory lane a bit prematurely, I believe, is the 22 there. And we'll see what sparked that incident. Contact between Jay Connor and Michael Goodman. Goodman gets loose, tags Hossack. And I think Leighton just thought he was going to spin down to the bottom, but he hit the 24 and came flying back up. And that will spark the third caution of the race here immediately after the second one. And that's going to definitely continue to exacerbate the playoff implications there, in terms of, specifically, of course, the Leighton Norgard is really going to have somewhat damaged points aspirations with that incident between himself, Goody, and Andrew Hardcastle. You see some damage there to the back of the number 12, as Andrew Hardcastle goes spinning there with significant front end damage to the back, or to the front of that truck. But you'd imagine everyone's going to stay out as they're still on their fresh set of tyres. Leighton Norgard, though, is obviously coming down for repair services, as he will come down to pit lane alongside Michael Goodman and others that will caught up in that incident, Matthew. But I think it's what we feared after the first yellow. We're starting to see precautions here, I think.
Yep, and Leighton, I'm sorry. I gave you the old caster curse tonight. Shouldn't have picked you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, not gone well.
Please forgive me.
Certainly a night that's gone from good to alright to bad to awful for a Leighton Norgard. It's not been the night that he would have wanted, and he's going to have a mountain to climb to really salvage anything worth writing home about for the driver of the 12. He came into this race with a +3 points advantage on the bubble. You'd have to imagine was feeling confident about his chances of making the championship 4. He's made the final round before. Of course, it was a final 5 format, but he finished third in that particular championship. That was 2023A. But of course, he's been a contender in this series for many, many seasons. Has always been up the front. So he's got a mountain to climb still for these next few races at Bristol, Homestead, and at Iowa to get anything really out of this. But 1 to green now. We're gonna have 20 laps to go, and we come back to the green here, Matthew, and with such little time remaining and everyone on fresh tyres with 20 to go, you consider the context of this being a playoff race with nearly half the grid being playoff drivers. You'd have to imagine this will probably be the most volatile time of the race in terms of guys really going for the bonsai moves, and potentially we're going to see more yellows, I think.
Yeah, I agree. There's not really much saving here. If you are going to save, it's only going to be for 5 laps, and then you're going to want to drive as hard as you can to get what you lost. So I think right now it's going to be get what you can, and try to survive.
I would definitely agree. I think this is going to become a game of survival, but I think we're going to see this for the first time tonight as well. The leader, Josh Adams, as you see, has been riding on board the Juicy Spider Toyota. He's elected to take the outside. Now, ordinarily, that'd be a very odd decision. At Michigan, of course, it's a wide track, and you're going to want to take the shortest distance possible, usually. But the one thing I do like about starting on the outside is that the driver on your inside, it's a lot harder to react. As you see, he's having to hang a tenth of a second back just to make sure he's on line with Adams, and Adams punches it, and he's already a quarter of a second clear. So he's already clear. He can come back down to the bottom at his leisure now. As you look back from the deck lid of the number 81 machine, Jeff Green starting to close in the slipstream. Jeff Green starting to look to the inside potentially, not anything there for the 38. As obviously past winner in the GC Spider Truck Series is Jeff Green, trying to make something happen here, trying to get himself into the championship for the second time here. As Josh Adams still leads the way. Here comes Gerald Campbell, two-time Cup Series champion. If anyone knows how to deliver on the big occasions, it's the driver, the 00. He's past Jeff Green, potentially looking to get past Josh Adams as well in one foul swoop there. He's up to P2, but he's got no help. Has to try and side draft the 38 out of it. Back down to P3. Here comes Chris Brightman, making it 3 wide for P4. Swoops down below Cody McCorkle and Joe Francis, looking for position number 4. They're all going to converge on each other. They're all looking for the same bit of track, and that's nearly contact between the 8 and the 55 as the 61 looks upstairs, potentially looking at 4 wide here. 19 laps to go here. Chris Wright protecting the inside from Gavin Higgins. Frank Foti now enters the fray as well. The top 9 all on top of each other. That offset scattered 3-4 abreast here through turns 3 and 4. Still though, it's Josh Adams that leads. He's been the fastest truck for the vast majority of this race. We'll see if he can lead just that all-important last lap. But here comes Jeff Green to the inside of the 81. The 38 looking to lead his first laps on the evening. He can't quite get clear, I don't think, of Josh Adams. It's going to be very, very nip and tuck, very close as Jeff Green goes back down the track trying to break the side draft. They're door banging further behind them inside the top 5. They are really taking all they can get here, Matthew, and I think I would probably predict, as much as I don't want it to, I think it might all come to blows before the checkered flag here.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get a little bit rougher out there, and I felt like if Chris dove to the yellow line when he made that 3-line move going into 1, I think he would have cleared both those guys. The same thing as Jeff. If you're going to do a slide job, you got to go straight to the yellow line and then wash up. I don't think the second lane, especially if you're 3 wide on the bottom, that second lane is going to work very well.
Yeah, I think when you're 3, I think you have to just wrap the yellow line on the inside and hope for the best, I think.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about this track is like you can really dive to that yellow line, and there's some grip down there, and you can make that slide job work doing that. And it seems like these guys really don't want to do it with the truck. I know in the Cup car, everyone does it pretty much every lap.
Yeah, we raced together in the Cup race at Michigan. That was a bit of a nightmare for the dives to the inside, but it was good fun. Sending the car down in there, and it would kind of stick.
Oh, yeah.
You see a similar thing in the trucks as well. Of course, they generate a fair bit of downforce. They're quite stocky, and obviously a yellow further back. I think it's Carl Hanshaw's gone around there near the back of the pack. We'll come back to what we were talking about shortly, as we have a 4th yellow on the night. Was Carl Hanshaw, and that's gonna be a hard impact, almost a blowover there. And that is the number 7 involved there as well. The game bridge. Oh, he's collected by Ryan Campbell as well there. The number. Does he have a number 7? Must be a different number.
Yeah. Harry messed up tonight.
Harrison Talon. Look, you're making me look like an idiot, Harry. But we'll see Harrison Talon and Carl Hanshaw coming to blows here as there's Tommy Ryan just behind them. As Tommy Ryan comes up there and tags those two, and they find each other both facing the wrong direction down the straight. And Ryan Campbell just, well, for a fleeting moment, tears the rear bumper cover off of the number 51 truck that should be on Harrison Talon's car. Um, but iRacing decides to give him back that rear bumper cover. Now this is going to be interesting. We've had a few laps on these tyres. I don't know if these guys have any left in the pits, but I think we're going to see a split strategy here. Jeff Green stays out, Gerald Campbell comes in, Adams and Wright stay out, Francis and Bourne comes in, and then a couple more stay out, and then everyone else comes in. This was going to get interesting, I think, Matthew. A lot of drivers up near the front. Jeff Green, Josh Adams, Chris Wright, Kulum, and Dylan Havere. They've all been up front all night long, so we know they're quick, but they're deciding to stay out. Everyone else has decided to come in. Of course, the front five have the advantage now of track position, but are they going to get potentially overwhelmed by those fresh tyres?
Yeah, if it goes green to the end, I think so. They went a few laps too long, and they were all pretty much driving as hard as they could, so they burnt up that rear. I think how many people stayed out? Like 10?
Roughly.
Some.
Dave Huckleberry is, yeah, so 10.
So the guys that took tires are not really that far back, and you can make 3 and 4 wide moves on these fresh tires in these corners. So you better hope for cautions to the end, I think, if you want to win this race. If you stayed out.
Yeah, I think that's what these guys are hoping for. I think if you're someone like Jeff Green, Josh Adams, you need just yellows, I think, to so we'll have to see just what comes of that, as there'll be about 12 laps to go when we come back to the green flag here. But just a quick rundown, Jeff Green does lead this race with Josh Adams in second. Chris Wright for Lake Norman is in third. Cody McCorkle is in fourth. Dylan Havere for Lake Norman's in fifth. Frank Foti, his teammate, is in sixth. Gavin Higgins in seventh in the number 20. His teammate, Jay Connor at KOR, is in eighth. Dusty Dewar and Dave Huckleberry at Do Good Motorsports. They are 9th and 10th, and that rounds out everyone that stayed out. Gerald Campbell is in 11th. He leads the drivers that pitted for fresh tyres, and we are now 1 lap to green. 12
All right, Gerald, listen to me. Dive low with these fresh tires. As soon as you cross the line, send it, man. I'm telling you, the grip is there.
Send it. Exactly. Those are the wise words coming from a past Cup Series champion to another past Cup Series champion. So we'll see if Gerald Campbell can put those old titles to good use here, and potentially make the bonsai moves to potentially punch his ticket into the final 4 of the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. I think this is also potentially an opportunity for drivers like a Leighton Norgard, who have had suboptimal nights, shall we say, and you know, he now finds himself essentially, if we split the race between the non-ties and the ties, he finds himself around the top 10. If he can make a few moves in that pack that has ties, and then can filter past everyone that doesn't have ties, he could be looking at potentially a top 10 to salvage his playoff position. So we'll have to wait and see, of course. 12 laps. It's going to feel like not a long time for the guys on ties. It's going to feel like forever for the likes of Jeff Green, who we ride on board with now. Lake Norman Motorsports still leading the way, courtesy of Jeff Green in the 38. Entering the Geico restart zone, and he stamps on it, and he's immediately clear of the 81. Chris Wright with him with a good restart. Immediately up to second place. The outside line not going as quickly as they would like to. Jeff Green does have the advantage here by just a fraction of a second over Chris Wright there in the number 8 machine. Let's look for Gerald Campbell. He's leading the guys on fresh tyres. He's currently in P8. He's past the KOR boys as they wreck behind him. And it's a Leighton Norgard again almost blowing over. You wouldn't believe it. Third accident this race that a Leighton Norgard has been involved in, as they wreck down the back straight. Just as I said, this could be an opportunity for him to come back. He is once again pegged back after an incident with potentially some other drivers. As we see through on in front of them, as Dave Huckleberry and JP Phillips come into blows on his outside, and they both cascade down into the side of the 12. Does a good job of keeping out of the inside wall, but those tyres are going to be shot to pieces now at that spin. That is really, really unfortunate for Leighton. We'll go overhead of the 52 here. Just tags the wall into the 34, and the 12 is along for the ride. and that is definitely an unfortunate incident in Leighton Norgard. Again, another innocent bystander in that for the second time tonight. His third incident overall. And that is music to the ears of the likes of Jeff Green, Chris Wright, and Josh Adams, who now have another couple laps of keeping the fresh tyres behind them, essentially for free. But this will definitely get more and more dramatic as this continues, as we'll cross the line. We tend to go this time. We'll take one more opportunity to thank our sponsors and partners here at the Elite Racing League and the Elite Racing Network. We'll be back for hopefully the final green flag run here at the GoldenBrew 140 here at Virtual Michigan. It's round 11 of the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. It's the Elite Playoffs. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming. Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And welcome back to the Elite Racing Network. It's live coverage of round 11 of the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Truck Series here in the Elite Racing League. It's race 1 of the Elite Playoffs in the Truck Series, and we are ready to go back green at the end of this 5th yellow flag period. 8 laps to go, and we've got a big split strategy at our hands here. Jeff Green and Chris Wright lead for Lake Norman Motorsports in P1 and P2. Gerald Campbell is in P8. He is the first of many, many cars on fresh tyres, with everyone in the top 10 apart from Gerald Campbell on older tyres. So this will definitely be something to watch in these next 16 miles, as it could be truly anyone who can win this race. And if you win, you are in to the championship for your chance at a JUICYSPYDER Truck Series title and put your name amongst the greats in Elite. It's the Elite Playoffs. It's all or nothing. 8 laps to go. Jeff Green stamps on it in the restart zone. He's immediately clear of the field as we look back from the Turner Eye Clinic Chevrolet. Dylan Javier in second, puts a non-playoff car between himself and Chris Wright. Crucial for the Xfinity Series champion as he manages to get clear of the 8. Dustin Dewar, trying to enter the fray for the first time tonight, finds himself up near the front. He's looking for his first podium of the season as well. Josh Adams as well led many laps, won stage 1. He's currently in 5th. Cody McCorkle, regular season champion, is up into P6. Gerald Campbell needs to start making the moves. He's up to P7, trying to work his way back past Frank Foti he will soon have the grip at his expenditure to start making the moves on this front six that he sees in front of him. We are 3 wide for second place here as Chris Wright and Dylan Rivera side by side, and it's music to the ears of Jeff Green. 7 laps to go, and they're going to come to blows going into turn 1. Dylan Rivera, big impact into the outside wall, and Dustin Dew was collected as they all went for the same bit of track going into turn 1, and that is a big accident, and that brings out caution number 6 and Mathieu Weeks. That's going to set up a restart with about 3-4 laps to go here.
Man, this is about to get even crazier.
Oh no, it's just 3 into 2 don't work. Dylan Rivera gets the worst of it, almost blew over, and Dusty Dewar, a complete innocent bystander in all of that. The 57 just, I think, biting off more than he could chew there, potentially anticipating his teammate Chris Wright to go all the way down to the bottom. You just see on board Dusty Dewar's car, the front right completely torn to pieces, and you immediately see trying to get back off the 81, but no, nothing giving for the 57. And what was a really positive night up until that point, third in stage 1, led a bunch of laps at the start, all unravels for the 57, and it's unfortunate to see, for sure. It's not what you want to see. They're giving it everything at the end of these races. You know, you consider the split strategies and what's at stake here. And Dylan Rivera just one step too far in his pursuit of victory, and he's wiped himself out of contention rather convincingly. And definitely unfortunate for the driver of the 57, as his night is going to be all but over in terms of contending for the race win. But Jeff Green does still lead this race, and he still has 3 more cars between him before the fresh tyres of Gerald Campbell get to him, and he's got laps under caution to kill here, potentially as few as 3 laps under green here for Jeff Green to try and seal another Truck Series victory and a second berth into the final 4. Mathieu Weeks, 5 laps to go. You see the split strategy, you see the nature of the racing. If you had to place all your money on one man to get it done at the end of the race here, who are you picking?
Well, I would never make that bet in the first place, but
That's true. Gamble responsibly. Never.
I would have to go with Jeff. He has the clean air. These cautions have helped him cool the tires back down, these last 2 cautions, so I think it's not going to be as easy as for Gerald to get up there and race him. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult with these guys that stayed out. You know, they've cooled their tires down, so I think Jeff is going to stick this one out, and in the clean air, I think that's really going to play a factor.
Definitely clean air will play to his advantage. He has got those cars in between him. Gerald Campbell, the first on fresh tyres. All the way back in P5. And I believe we're going to come to 1 to green this time as we cross the strap to 4 to go. So it will be 3 laps to go. Only 6 miles. Again, it will feel like forever for the likes of Jeff Green. They just want to get to that white flag and try and see it out for a spot in the final 4. But we'll have to wait and see, as the pace car lights, you'd have to presume, will come off this time by as Arnie hoists the yellow flag high in the air. And as they cross the stripe, the lights do come off. 1 to green at the top of your screen. As these drivers will begin to double up once again. Jeff Green likes to take the outside. I think that's become a very popular choice in this second half of the race. Chris Wright will be on his inside. Cody McCorkle for Shift Esports will be 3rd, as well as his teammate Josh Adams there on his inside. Tyler Fote and Gerald Campbell from 6th. Tom Bourne, Jay Connor, Joe Francis and Justin Wadsworth in 9th and 10th. We haven't really mentioned Justin Wadsworth. He's been fairly quiet, fairly subdued up to this point. He is one of the drivers above the cut line. He's +3 alongside Leighton Norgard before the start of this race as well. So the Cup Series champion looking to make his mark early on in the playoffs, get a few good points for his campaign. We'll see if we can get a few more positions before the night is done. Cody McCorkle as well, +14 at the start of tonight, I believe, and a P3 would do him wonders and would really go a long way to securing his spot in the Final Four. But of course, all goes out the window if you potentially can't win a race, as there's 4 races in this round and 4 spots if it's winning you're in. So you could get the most points, but if you're not one of those winners and there's 4 unique winners, then your campaign is done. So winning, super important, and that is what you'll see come into play here as Jeff Green will step on it in the Geico restart zone, gets a quarter of a second clear of his teammate and of Cody McCorkle. 3 laps to go here at Michigan, and it's all going to come to a head here in the first race of the first round of the Elite Truck Series playoffs. Jeff Green out to a 3/10 of a second lead. That's exactly what he needs to be doing. Is a 3 abreast behind him. Gerald Campbell could potentially make 4 wide here. He looks to the outside, looks to the inside. Josh Adams trying to make the block here. Gerald Campbell right into the back of the 81 here now, looking to push his way through everyone here as they roll close back in on Jeff Green. 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in the air, potentially still 4 wide here as Gerald Campbell tries to look underneath. Almost 5 wide as Gerald Campbell does manage to get below Josh Adams. Tom Bourne as well entering the fray. 2 to go here. If they get to the start-finish line, this race is official. No matter what happens, we'll finish under green. Chris Wright with a big dive down to the bottom. Jeff Green loose going into turn 1 and turn 2 there as Chris Wright tries to hang it down on the bottom. Tom Bourne now entering the fray. Chris Wright with a loose condition. Does Tom Bourne look for a move either side of the 8 truck? As Jeff Green still just about a truck length clear. Does he dive to the inside trying to block off the 8? Or does he let him have it this time? Chris Wright can't get there. Cody McCorkle to the outside now with a push from Frank Foti. Tom Bourne now to the inside with 3 wide for second place. We're 4 wide, nearly 5 wide further back behind them. And that's music to the ears of Jeff Green as we are 3 wide for second place. White flag is in the air. Jeff Green still leads. We are 5 wide for 4th place.
What a dive.
5 wide for 4th place through turns 1 and 2. It is all coming to a head here. They get down the back. Michael Hossack's upside down. Frank Foti nearly goes upside down. Michael Hossack's flying through the air. Multiple drivers flying through the air. It's 5 cars that will make their way towards the start-finish line. Jeff Green, chief among them, he'll lock his way into the championship for a 2nd shot at the title. Jeff Green wins at Michigan. What a finish. Tom Bourne will come home 2nd, Chris Wright in 3rd, Cody McCorkle 4th, and Justin Wadsworth in P5. And a second look at that incident on the final lap. That is Michael Hossack flying down the back straight. Joe Francis almost goes over. Frank Foti nearly goes over. Michael Hossack, as you mentioned, barrel rolling down the back straight. Tommy Ryan with a big hit to the inside wall. And that had been coming for 70 long, hard laps, and the field just flew apart. It all came to a head right at the end. You saw 5 wide through turns 1 and 2. Jay Connor and Frank Foti all come to a head. Josh Adams saves it. Almost. Michael Hossack, collected by JP Phillips, goes for a 2nd barrel roll as Connor, Adams, Jeff Ryan, Tommy Ryan, Seth Rawls, Joe Francis, Andrew Hardcastle. A massive impact up towards turn 3. There's Sam Boutwell. Harrison Talon as well. Michael Hossack still driving after that incident. And will crawl home to finish in 14th place, having barrel rolled down the back straight. Harrison Talon with a massive impact there. Thought he might have been safe. There goes Sam Boutwell, as he's desperately trying to get that truck moving, no matter what's flying at him. Josh Adams, oh so nearly safe from it all. As you look back from the windshield, there's Joe Francis, there's Michael Hossack getting back on his tyres. Matthew, that was a mess.
And what about a Leighton, dude? After everything he was being in
7th,
tonight,
I think, right?
comes back, and misses that wreck, and finishes 7th.
Wow, just as we thought. Right, you know, we mentioned it was going from okay to oh my god, oh my god.
All right.
Wow. Thank goodness it's a simulation, because I think he clipped through Hossack, but that's all that he needed. We'll ride on board with Michael Hossack here and just see exactly what happened from the cockpit of the 24. If you get car sick, maybe look away for the next 20 seconds or so. as we ride on board here, he gets into Frank Foti and Jay Connor and Josh Adams, blows over, scrapes on his side, does one barrel roll, gets collected by JP Phillips, lands on his head and does another barrel roll, and then flies back down the track, somehow doesn't get absolutely clattered, keeps driving, sees Sam Batwell get murdered, and some more car dodging there from Michael Harsack, and he crawls home after barrel rolling twice to finish 14th as Jeff Green takes the victory. Harrison Talon, in typical Harry fashion, parking it in pit lane after finishing like last. 22nd for the driver of the Gamebridge number 51. But I think we can now breathe. A bit of a mad race in many respects was the GoldenBrew 140. So we'll have to get some more opinions, and you'll see those from the top three soon enough. But before we do that, before we start post-race coverage here for the GoldenBrew 140, we're going to take one more quick break. We'll go thank some sponsors, thank some partners, and we'll be right back on the Elite Racing Network, so don't go anywhere. And we are back here for post-race coverage of the GoldenBrew 140 here for round number 11 of the JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. We'll take a quick rundown of your race results. Jeff Green for Lake Norman Motorsports gets another win in the JUICYSPYDER Truck Series and locks himself in to the Championship 4. He wins by 0.188 seconds over Tom Bourne for Aggressive Eagle in second place. Chris Wright rounds out the top 3. Cody McCorkle finishes 4th. Justin Wadsworth for Lake Norman finishes 5th. Gerald Campbell in 6th. And Leighton Norgard comes back from 3 separate crashes to finish in P7. Mitchell Javier, the first non-playoff driver, he's in 8th. JP Phillips in 9th. And Carl Hanshaw for KHR rounds out the top 10. Ryan Campbell with a brilliant P11. Gavin Higgins in 12th. Andrew Harcastle for Aber Motorsports, he's in 13th. Michael Hossack barrel rolled twice and still finished 14th. Caleb Bakuma finishes 15th for Lake Norman Motorsports. Joe Francis finishes 16th. Tommy Ryan 17th for Unacceptable. And Shifty Sports Seth Rawls finishes in position number 18. Sam Boutwell for South Shore is in P19 with Frank Foti in P20. Jeff Ryan finishes 21st. Harrison Talon 22nd. Rob Mooney and Dave Huckleberry 23rd and 24, with Jay Corner rounding out the top 25 and the drivers that finished on the lead lap. Josh Adams was the last classified finisher. He finished 1 lap down after that last lap accident. He is classified 26th. Dustin Dewar failed to see the checkered flag alongside Dylan Javier, Michael Goodman, Jaden Rasimas as the 30 trucks to elect to start tonight's race. Mathieu Weeks and Chad Frankenfield, as well as State Latter, all listed here, but they already kicked our butts in the past and they already have a truck title, so they're all out. And Josh Osborne as well did not start for JOM. So 30 trucks started, 26 of them finished, and I think about 10 of them ended up in the air at least one point tonight. We're going to speak to one of the drivers that didn't end up in the air at one point tonight, and that's Chris Wright, who now joins me in the commentary box. A solid P3 for you, Chris. You got a copy, my friend.
Yeah, it was a good night. I feel like we were probably the best truck out here after about 10 laps. I really enjoyed that first long run, got good stage points. And then those cautions there at the end, we were still pretty good on the short run, but obviously, it's a little bit more Daytona Talladega style there on the short run. And then we had that caution. Guys came and got tires. Some guys didn't. Obviously, I chose not to. And tires got to us just at the end there. I think the call would have been a lot different if there was 5 more laps left. I don't think the staying out call would have worked out too good. But nonetheless, a great night all around for us to get good points, got good stage points, finished second in the stage, finished third in the race. Just a little bit frustrated that we couldn't have some more green flag laps out here tonight because, like I said, I'm not sure anybody had anything for us after 10 or 15 laps.
It definitely looked like a Lake Norman kind of night. Me and myself and Matthew up here, we didn't like the call to stay out. We thought that the newer tires, with sort of about 13, 14 laps to go, we thought you guys were going to get swallowed up. But I think, was that sort of something you consider track position and potentially sort of anticipating something like we saw on those specifically on the last lap, but just the cautions after cautions, was that sort of what you're anticipating there?
Oh yeah, and Weeks knows as well as you do. Like we're gonna get once we get one caution inside of 15 to go, there's more coming. And I
Mm.
know that the first wreck that happened right there, right after that last restart, happened right around what we were running. I think the 34 was involved and whatnot there. So who's to say we wouldn't have been wrecked in that first wreck? It's you know, we knew the cautions were coming, and I just didn't think there would be that much of an advantage to the tires. But obviously, when they got there, I mean, we just couldn't do anything with them. Really, we couldn't hold them back. But the guy who stayed out, Jeff, congrats to him, a teammate over here, and locked himself into the final four. Getting the win on old tires. I feel like we held up pretty good. First, third, fourth, right, all on old tires. But Tom needed another lap, and Justin needed another lap. Hate to see some of those guys get wrecked that had good nights that were racing up here for the win, but that's just the way these elite races go. It doesn't matter what you do in the first 80%. The last 20%, when all this chaos happens, it could be an awful night. Look at a Leighton there, managed the top 10 when it was looking like his playoff hopes were down in the dumps with 20 to go.
Definitely, I think definitely a prime example of sort of the race where anything can happen. We look forward now to the next 3 races in this first and only round of the playoffs before the final 4. Bristol, Homestead, Miami, and Iowa. So 2 short tracks and then a unique intermediate in Homestead. What's your take on those 2 tracks in terms of how comfortable you are there, and do you think we can maybe see you potentially in the final 4?
I think if I was going to make the final 4, we're going to have to maximize those bad races. Bristol, anything can happen. Iowa, straight garbage. Homestead's fun, but I feel like tonight was our night. We were really strong tonight, good enough to win, and just it didn't play out how we needed. But we nonetheless, like some of those guys had bad nights. We made some points on some guys. We broke even on some guys. Jeff getting the win from down where he was that's a huge win for him. We'll just have to see how it goes. It's anything can happen at Bristol, but I am not a fan of Iowa. Like I have never been able to run really good at that track, so not looking forward to going there at all. If we're going into Iowa, depending on Iowa for some kind of decent run, probably not going to get it.
Definitely. Well, still a solid P3 overall. Good way to kick off that first round. Any sponsors or partners you want to thank for another podium for car number 8?
Yeah, like I said, shout out to Jeff getting the job done. It's been a long time since he's won, and now he wins right here at this clutch time, and being able to race for a championship, that's going to be a big deal, big confidence boost to Jeff and everybody over there at Lake Norman. Justin ended up getting up here at the end, having a good finish. I saw the 57 running up at the front a lot early. I don't think he got the finish that he quite wanted. I seen a lot of teammates all around me, and then at the end, I think it's just me and Justin and Jeff up here, and I think the 58 might have finished good, but everybody at Blue Egg Marketing, JD Designs, I believe they're the ones who paint the truck. So it's John Cutlip over there, and Blue Egg, you guys up here in the booth for doing what you do, Weeks for doing what he does. Dave, I know he was out here racing tonight, but he still keeps everything going for ERN. Chad for the league, and well, I guess got to thank Tate for not showing up. Right? He didn't. He was out here on the racetrack for practice and loaded up and headed home. So
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on that P3. Thank you very much for your time, and best of luck rest of the playoffs.
all right, throw a big party when Jeff comes in, fellas.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you, Chris. So that was Chris Wright in position number 3. Now, Tom Bourne, second place. Not quite victory, but 17th to second is nothing to scoff at. Tom Bourne, how do you rate your night overall?
It was definitely a come from behind and try and get up front. We didn't have the qualifying effort that we wanted. The car just had no single car speed at all, and I really just didn't know what to do other than that. But I knew the truck was fast the entire night, and it was just all a matter of track position. And one little mistake can send you from third to outside the top 10, and I had to deal with that as well.
Definitely. Was this sort of one of those nights where, also you mentioned those small mistakes? Was it a case of just minimizing those and making sure that it was hitting your marks each and every lap, each corner, and just trying to keep yourself up front, essentially by any means necessary? As track position seemed really, really important tonight.
Yeah, it definitely was. As the run kept going on, you can kind of see who pushed at the beginning of the run, who didn't. A lot of guys were having trouble keeping the car under the back end underneath them in turns 3 and 4 as the run went on, and I learned that in the first run by just trying to gain track position, and I was trying to hold on for the uh, second or third place wherever I finished in stage one, and I took that into consideration for the final 40 laps or so, and wanted to make sure I kept my tires underneath it because I was wearing the right rear really bad. Overall, though, the car setup felt great. Um, we could really put the car wherever I found something early on that very, very top side in 3 and 4 where it kept the car underneath me, and I was able to make up time because you weren't passing on the inside in 3 and 4 after 5 laps. It was almost impossible. You kind of had to set them up for turns 1 and 2 by trying to carry as much speed as you can through 3 and 4 as the run went on.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward now to the next three races in this round of 14. You've got Bristol, you've got Homestead, you've got Iowa, so a bit of a mixed bag of different tracks. How do you kind of sort of look at those three racetracks in terms of play? Are we good at this play? Are we going to expect to see you sort of up the front these places? And can we reasonably expect you to potentially feature in the final four at the season's end?
Um, I'd like to think that I'm decently good at all those tracks. Recently I've had some fast cars at Iowa. I haven't done Homestead in a little while, and Bristol I always love going to. Each track's gonna deal a whole like you said, a mixed bag of results for everybody. And I feel like going into Bristol next week, you're gonna see a lot of playoff guys either have problems or they're gonna stay out of problems. Um, we had a fast truck there last year. I believe we finished up in the top seven. I think we got a top five. I don't really remember, but I'm looking forward to it. I had the whole playoffs kind of circled before the season started. The main goal was just getting there, and we ended up getting the regular season championship out of it. And now we're just focused on consistency, and the win. The win will be there. I've got 4 more races to do it, and we've got 3 second place finishes on the year so far, and so we're tracking in the right direction. We got great momentum going in, and hopefully it can continue through this round and hopefully into Texas.
Definitely, as you mentioned, you've got that good momentum. Anyone you want to thank for another good solid podium finish for car number 61?
Yeah. First off, just you guys, week in and week out. Fantastic job on the broadcast. Everybody watching, you guys really allow us to show off what we can do. Reaper Apparel Company, they're fantastic. Um, Aggressive Eagle, Gerald brought me back for another season, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So hopefully that continues. Um, Melissa, Sydney, uh, ever since I threw Vanessa's newborn's name over the side of the side passenger side window, we've had really good luck. So I feel like he's a little good luck charm for me going on right now. So hopefully that'll continue. Um, my friend Ashley, was watching for the first time tonight, and unfortunately, one of my good friends growing up, he passed away yesterday, and we had the FDNY morning band on the truck tonight, and I was hoping to get in victory lane for him, but overall, uh, a second place is just as good. So, Greg, this one's for you, and hopefully we can get you a championship up.
Absolutely. Well, of course, first of all, condolences for for your friend, over that recent grievance as well. But obviously, good to get a good result in honor of them and for everyone that helps you along the way. So, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on another P2. Hopefully, we'll be interviewing you a few more times before the season's done, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, and hopefully, hopefully I can be up here again.
Absolutely. That was second place finisher Tom Bourne, but man of the hour, Jeff Green. Another clutch win in the playoffs for UFC 24A at North Wilkesboro. You got one to lock yourself into the final four. You've got another one tonight, so you didn't have to worry about the next three races. You're off to Texas, but how do you rate your night overall, Jeff?
Oh, I thought it couldn't have went any better. I mean, I was fight. Everybody was fighting loose after you just had to protect the right rear tire as much as you could, and I hit the fence barely off a 4-1 lap, and I think it actually helped my car in the corners, and it might have hurt me down the straightaway a little bit, but everything went great. I tried to save as much stuff as I could in the first run. We run, like 30 laps, I think, under green, and uh, I was top 6 or 7 then, and I told myself on those restarts I was just gonna have to get as much as I could, and then try to save a little bit. But um, the way the cautions worked there at the end, I think it saved us. Those guys pitted, with 15 to go or something like that, and a few of them did. And if it had went green from there, I think I would have been in trouble. But the cautions come out and allowed me to get another restarts and got a good run on the restarts, get a little track ahead of them, and to be able to protect it. And I could just the last 3 or 4 laps I run wide open, and the tires didn't give up on me. So it was a good night for Turner Clinic Chevrolet. I'm just thankful to be able to put it in that position, and had a good night. Didn't get anybody's way. It was a fun race, man. It was fun to drive that truck. So it's good times.
Yeah, definitely. We spoke to Chris a minute ago. Myself and Matthew didn't really like the call to stay out with was about 15 laps to go there. As sort of everyone from 10th on back flooded into the pits. We thought you guys were going to get swallowed, but I think eventually it was track position and just that clean air for you. I think that's kind of what won it for you in the end. Of said the cautions as well to help along, but I think even on the green, you weren't getting swallowed up nearly as quickly as I think either of us expected to. I think the track position clean air, I think, would you agree, was definitely the most important thing there for you?
Yeah, it was a tough decision, William, but we only had 4 laps of green on that set of tires, so I
Mm.
felt like if we could get a big enough jump on them, and those guys would have to. I think Gerald was the first guy on new tires, and he restarted 11th, so had clean air, and that's a lot of it. I could run through the corners a lot faster, uh, a lot more throttle out the front than I could when I was fourth and fifth. So um, just I got myself in the right position, and Fody and Tyler Foley was on. He was on our Discord with us, and he was pumping me up pretty good. So I appreciate him doing that, and it was just a good night for us.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to ask you about Bristol, Homestead, and Iowa. Of course, you don't really have to worry about those tracks, do you?
Now,
You're already locked in. But how do you rate those tracks overall? We know you're obviously an Xfinity Series champion, so we know you kind of have to be good at all those sorts of places. But yeah, how do you rate those tracks?
I've won a couple races there in the Bush Series in real life, so I enjoy Bristol a lot. But on iRacing here, you go either way. It's kind of like restrictor plate racing. You could come out there with nothing, or you come out there with a win. So we're gonna go there to win. We don't have anything to lose, so I'm glad that's behind us, and we don't have anything to lose. And Homestead is probably not my favorite track, but just try to get prepared for Texas now and see how we can do in that final run.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on another clutch playoff win, Jeff. Hopefully, we'll see you a couple more times for seasons then, and best of luck in the Final Four as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, William. Appreciate y'all guys doing this. It makes the effort of watching the races back very entertaining, and y'all do a good job. So appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Oh, almost forgot. Sponsors and partners. I almost forgot. Shout
Yeah,
out for the 38 truck.
always gotta thank Turner Eye Clinic out of Arkansas. He's a race buddy of mine. He helps me a lot on this thing to be able to race, and gotta thank my wife also for letting me sit down to do this. Without her letting me do it, wouldn't be able to do it. So a lot of fun, especially like the way the race turned out tonight. A lot of fun for us. So we appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff, Jeff. Another clutch playoff win. Hopefully, we'll see you a few more times. Thank you very much for your time, dude.
Thank you, sir. You too. See you.
So that was race winner Jeff Green. Now that we've heard from our 3 podium finishers, Mathieu Weeks, what are your thoughts from tonight's action? It was definitely action-packed. I would say definitely a deserving win at the end of it, but that definitely wasn't a slow burner. That kept us awake all 70 laps, didn't it?
Oh yeah, that was a good Michigan race, I should say. Hard racing, especially at the end, man. Them boys, they were throwing some haymakers, the 4 wide. They were going at it, and then to have Jeff win, he's been on a rough patch of late. I mean, he's joined Pro Edge in the Xfinity, and he's kind of caught that bad luck because everyone that joins Pro Edge their first season is always so bad. So I'm glad that he finally turned the ship around and got a win. And I know it's not for Pro Edge, but it's a good thing for a guy like him to win in a series like this. And we all know Jeff is a great race car driver when he was doing it in real life, and he still does a great job here on the sim too. And so, congrats to him on winning the race tonight.
Absolutely. Well, that was certainly an action-packed evening from virtual Brooklyn, Michigan, and it's Jeff Green that comes out on top to become the first driver locked in to the championship floor for the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. But that is all we're going to have time for coverage of the GoldenBrew 140 here from Michigan International Speedway, from myself, William White, from Race Control, Mathieu Weeks, and producer Jesse Rasimas, to all 30 drivers that were down on the racetrack, to everyone at the Elite Racing League admin panels, as well as the Elite Racing Network. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a very safe evening. We'll see you next week at Bristol Motor Speedway for round 2 of the playoffs, and we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.